Hey there, YouTube. My name is Farai Kwesha. I'm 28, and you're watching African Young Entrepreneurs. And I guess because you're seeing me here, it means I'm a young African entrepreneur, which still feels weird if I'm completely honest. But depending on who you ask, Farai is a lot of things to different people. Kind of depends on the situation. But a little bit about my background is I'm a brand strategist. I'm also a communications professional. I'm a television presenter. I'm quite a number of things. I would like to also think of myself as a musician to a certain extent. But to be honest, my true passion has always been within the communications industry and working with several brands, especially African brands. So I suppose that's where my expertise actually lies. And like I said before, because you're seeing me here, I am a young African entrepreneur. And I'm really glad to be sharing a lot about my work and obviously how we can connect with each other as young entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe on today's show. I would say the journey of becoming an entrepreneur has afforded me the opportunity to have a voice, obviously, and to be autonomous, which are things I always wished I would one day have. But what I've seen now, just in terms of my daily routine that's changed, is I don't have a lot of routine tasks per se. I've become more of a bigger picture person. So while it's very important for me to focus on the same sort of, routine, smaller day-to-day tasks that I used to do, like, oh, I need to make sure I'm talking to this client, I need to make sure that this gets done and that gets done, I find that I'm a lot more concerned about quite a number of things that, as an employee, I wasn't concerned about. I am constantly thinking about how do we grow our business? What kind of clients do we need in our portfolio? What capacity do we need to be building as well? What kind of talent do we need as well? I need to think about if we're getting enough work to make sure that everyone who's part of our team is fed and we can put food on the table. And those are things that I never thought I would be thinking about, but I'm constantly thinking about how we can grow our business, and I'm constantly thinking about how we can differentiate our business, because it's quite a saturated market in Zimbabwe, obviously. But how do we differentiate our business and create something truly special? How do we give our clients the big experience that they're used to with the bigger agencies that they work with, but then how do we give them that same feel at a fraction of the cost? And so those are the kinds of things that I find myself really, really looking at. But in terms of my everyday now, the things that I do on a daily basis will include obviously checking in with clients, giving updates on certain projects, and if I have free time, also just, doing a little bit of research, what's happening in the market, and obviously looking for new clients as well and seeing how we can create proposals that will eventually turn into business as well. So that's pretty much it. Oh, and one more thing before I totally forget. And well, this one has been consistent throughout my entire career, even before I left my job. Firefighting. I feel like every day as a young entrepreneur, especially in Zimbabwean advertising, with very demanding clients who are experts at everything. I love my clients, but yeah, they're experts at everything. I feel like there's always a lot of firefighting. It's something that I deluded myself into believing would go away the day I became responsible for my own destiny, but no, it doesn't change. We're always firefighting. There's always an emergency. There's always something that needs to be done urgently. And yeah, it's challenging, but it's really quite fun. Interestingly enough, I never really truly considered myself to be an entrepreneur. And even when I did eventually get into business and started our own little startup, which I'll get into in a little bit, I still didn't consider myself to be an entrepreneur. But just a little bit of a background about how that came to be. I've already mentioned that I'm a brand strategist and I'm a communications professional. I've worked in advertising for, I think, about 5 years at this point, and I've enjoyed working in advertising as a copywriter, first of all, and a media executive, obviously doing strategy and account management as well. And I obviously just enjoyed the work, working with notable brands in Zimbabwe, including Econet Wireless, NMB Bank, Standard Chartered Bank as well, Kasava Smart Tech, quite a number of brands which I can't think of at the moment. But throughout those 5 years, I worked with quite a number of agencies, and I think the gap I then noticed that kind of um, initiated this need in me to want to become an entrepreneur is I always felt like my talents were appreciated, but my voice wasn't. So while I was able to diligently complete the work I had been assigned and make clients happy, never felt like my voice was seen in the work. So I wanted autonomy, and I was fortunate enough, obviously, to uh, find like minded individuals who I had the pleasure and honor of working with, including quite possibly the most sought after creative director in the industry. He is an absolute beast. His name is Dagi Chimpwanda. He did say I should not mention him in this video, but I don't care. Dagi Chimpwanda is an absolute beast. Has quite the ego on him, but he's got the skills to back it up. And my other business partner, Zororo Msiwa, who's also a digital marketing genius. And we've been able to build something really special. So we have a startup. It's called Neptunes Digital. So while we do pretty much offer the same sort of advertising services that most agencies in Zimbabwe offer to several clients, our focus is primarily on digital. We don't see digital as this sort of niche space, but we see it as the only space because that's where a lot of people spend their time, and that's obviously how people communicate as well. And it's very important for brands to be engaging with their customers at that level. It's very important for them to communicate with their customers where they are. So I think that's how Neptunes Digital came to be. So we're almost 1 year old, so do seem pretty young, but we've been able to land quite a few large clients and also a couple smaller clients, and it's been quite fulfilling. I think we never expected or could have ever predicted the kind of growth we'd experience in such a short space of time, but we've been able to grow exponentially, and it boggles my mind every single day. But I'm grateful to be working in that kind of industry and to be doing what I love, and of course to have the autonomy that I felt I didn't have for a really long time. Challenges. I feel like being an entrepreneur, all there is are challenges, just challenges all the time. But to be completely honest, at this moment in time, I think the biggest challenge that we've been encountering, or what I would like to think of as a challenge, what I think of as a challenge on a daily basis, obviously, is um, thinking about the future of my business and how obviously we're going to grow it, right? I would like to think of that as a challenge. And the reason I think of that as a challenge is I'm constantly thinking about how we present ourselves as a unique sort of business, and what new thing are we bringing onto the table as well. And it's an uphill battle when your clientele is pretty traditional and you're trying to sell them on digital. I think the biggest issue I've been confronted with at this moment in time, especially within that space, is this. I think it's an overly simplified assumption that digital is cheap. I think cheap is always a wrong word to use. I'm not asking for millions of dollars to be funneled towards digital marketing, obviously, but then I'm always trying to fight for clients to at least invest a lot more than they do within the digital space. That's how I grow, that's how their brands grow as well. And I'm always trying to shift the mindset from digital is cheap to digital offers a higher return on investment. So that conversation has to shift from that direction. And again, along those lines, with wanting to be different and obviously wanting to be innovative, obviously I'm always constantly thinking about the kind of talent that we need. My business partners will say I'm very pedantic, and sometimes I'm a little unfairly judgmental. Let me put it that way. Unfairly judgmental. Um, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and my expectations are a little higher of the kind of people I would love to work with. If you think you fit the bill, I'll drop my email later. But yeah, I think it's always a challenge to find the right people. Again, it's all about chemistry as well. It's not just about what you can do, but then you kind of need to embody the same sort of spirit that our current team, which is quite small, but our current team currently embodies, for me to kind of gel with you. And you need to be hungry, because I feel like everyone who's in our business at this moment in time is very hungry. So it's always a challenge finding the right people. And again, obviously with clients, it's always a challenge to sell them on new things, because Zimbabwean businesses are typically very traditional and they're also very reactive. So we'll find that a lot of our work is reactive work and they're not as open to proactive work. So that's always a challenge. But yeah, we are trying to overcome that challenge. Obviously, it's an uphill battle. You keep trying. You try it from different angles. You try with different clients, obviously, as well. And you also shift your perspective. I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes compromise. You're never going to find exactly what you're looking for, but at least lower your expectations sometimes. I know it sounds counterintuitive, especially if you're a business, but sometimes you do need to reach a point where you're able to compromise, and that's how you make some sort of progress, however small. So I would say to young Zimbabwean entrepreneurs, just young people in general, I would speak to them in the same way that I would speak to my younger self. And what I wish someone would have told me when I was younger is that, it's not that hard to get started. And I think that's the most important thing. You have all of these ideas. And to be totally honest, if you've got a business idea, until you start, it's exactly that. It's just an idea. It's not a business. You're not an entrepreneur. If you've got brilliant ideas in your head, but uh, you haven't gotten started on any of them, you are just an idea generator, effectively. So I would say it's very important to get started and really, really think about what you're capable of and what you are good at before you decide to become an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people in Zimbabwe fall into the trap of doing something because that's what everyone else is doing. And while there are advantages to that, I feel that there's a lot more value in carving out your own niche, focusing on the things that you are good at, focusing on the things that you can exploit your own talents on, and obviously generate value for yourself and other people as well. So I think it's very, very important for young people to at least just get started. I think that's the most important thing. I had told myself that I was going to be an entrepreneur, but like I said, I was just an idea generator. But then in the heat of COVID, an opportunity arose, and like I said, one of our partners, the most sought after creative director in Zimbabwe, shameless plug again, saw the opportunity and said, let's just do it. And we did it. And it took 2 weeks. It just took less than 2 weeks. So starting is the most important thing. You'll figure out everything else as you go along. It's not very important for you to have everything figured out when you've started, but it's very important for you to just start and try to identify people who are like-minded. Sometimes you're not able to do it on your own, and you don't have to do it on your own. Just keep your eye on the big picture. And lastly, the thing I would like to say to young people is to think bigger. Like, I have nothing against people who decide they want to get into the business of selling maputi. But think about the fact that before you turn a profit, you're going to have to sell 1 million units of maputi. That's always how I've looked at it. But I think you should always think bigger. How do I expand, and how do I carve out a niche within that industry, and obviously make a difference in Zimbabwe. How do I always think about it in this way. How do we create the next Econet Wireless? How do we create the next big, massive Zimbabwean brand? I think, yeah, that's how I always look at it. So think big. I think the only person that can get in your way is yourself. So it's very important for you to, you know, believe in yourself, trust yourself. So at Neptunes Digital, we work with businesses of all shapes and sizes, and we would definitely love to work with you and find out what we can build together. You can check out our website. It's www.neptunesdigital.com. You can email us. You can email me as well, and my email is farai@neptunesdigital.com. I think you can find it somewhere in the comments. I don't know how they're going to edit this, but it's going to be somewhere down in the description section of the video, so you can check that out as well. And you can also just contact me for, you know, advice on anything, personal branding things. I'm always open to connect with other young people, and we can share what we're building together. And yeah, we see how we grow from there. It's been amazing having me on this show. That actually sounds low-key conceited. Actually, it's been amazing, and I feel very privileged to have been on this show. I never expected, not even in my wildest dreams, that anyone would ever ask me to be on such a show. So thank you so much for having me on your show today. And yeah, until next time. I don't know if there's going to be a next time, but until next time, it's been great. Bye.